Do you want your beats to go crazy and make people turn their heads when they hear them? Well, here's 5 producer tips to make your beats hit hard. Let's jump right into tip number 1, using high quality sounds. High quality sounds are beneficial for your mix because they usually always come EQ'd and compressed nicely, saving you work in the long run. Using low quality sounds can really mess up your song, like it can make everything sound a bit muddy and just sound a bit off in general. For example, I've got this kit here called the Foundation Drum Kit. It's filled with good high quality sounds, which are very good to use to make beats with. Using high quality sounds can just in general improve your beats. They just make everything sound a lot cleaner and a lot smoother to the listener. Now we can hop into tip number 2, which is trying not to overcomplicate things. Your beat doesn't need like 50 layers. Too many elements can clash and make the mix kind of muddy, so you don't want to really overcomplicate everything. And you also want to leave space for the artist's vocals, especially in trap, drill or hip hop, just because that's the sort of genre that you make it for. You can always think of arrangement as well, like putting too many things in will just kind of ruin it. Like, it's like cooking. If you put in too many ingredients, you can ruin the dish. Just be mindful of that. Now I'm going to jump in and I'm going to create a quick set of drums to go with this guitar melody. Okay, so now I have created just a really simple drum loop. Here's how it sounds. Now, of course, that's not finished, but it is really simple and it was really easy to make. It has not been mixed yet or mastered, so that is just like the raw copy of the drums. Now this links really nicely into our third tip, which is using your velocity to your advantage. Now, for example, with these hi-hats, I have got them set to a triplet pattern, so it sounds like this. But if this velocity was to all be set at the same exact volume, it would just sound something like this. But because I had changed the velocities, it now sounds like this. And so that ducking in and out just adds to the whole beat entirely. Like, could you imagine this beat without that triplet pattern sounding like that? Real main reason that you want to change your velocity up, just like I have with the hi-hats, is because the velocity makes the MIDI drums, like those really basic kind of drum sounds, the velocity helps it sound less robotic and more human played, like an actual drum set would be. And like adjusting how hard or soft the notes are hitting, whether it's your hi-hats, your kick, your snare, it just really adds that bounce to your beat. For example, hi-hats are a lot better, or sometimes feel better when they're a little bit quieter, and some other hi-hats hit a bit harder, just exactly like I've demonstrated in my hi-hats for this beat. Finally, without velocity, beats feel a bit flat, a bit lifeless, so just use that velocity to its fullest. Adding on from tip number 3, tip number 4 is how to use your master track and how to mix and master your beat. Okay, for a starter, what I like to do is I like just taking everything down to 0 and then taking everything up one by one and just getting the right levels of the volume, and also EQing out unwanted frequencies. So for instance, with this guitar, you can see that there are a lot of low frequencies, so that is going to clash exactly with the 808, which is going to make it sound muddy and a bit maybe distorted, and not really give you that clean, punchy kind of sound. Now I'm just going to go through everything, EQ it, and just make sure it's the right volume for the track. Now what I've done is I have set all of my sounds to the sort of level that I'd like them. I've added an EQ onto all of them, and now it's kind of sounding a bit like this. And you can hear that that 808 is not clashing as much as it was before because of the low frequencies in all these other sounds. Now time to get on to mastering the beat. So adding your effects on and really just giving it that last final polish. For me, I've already got most of mine saved, and I like to tweak them a bit just to make sure that they're fitting nicely on the certain beat that I'm working on. Now for this beat, I'm wanting a bit more of a punchy sound with my 808, maybe a bit of distortion. So I'm actually going to take Maximus off here. And what I like to do, here's a bit of source for you as well. Hear how the 808 is still kind of a bit soft. Well, open up a Fruity limiter, come to the ceiling knob and turn that all the way up. Now it's going to get it a bit louder, and then you just want to take the saturation down just until it satisfies your ear. And what that does is it just cuts the top part of the 808 and it brings it down, so it kind of distorts it a little bit, but that's the sort of sound I'm wanting, so I'm going to use it like that. Here's what it sounds like without the Fruity limiter and with the Fruity limiter. Now there's not much of a difference, but with a harder hitting 808 you can really notice that distortion. As I said before, mastering your track just gives it that final polish and makes it all loud enough for the listener to hear. Adding some subtle EQs, such as this one I've got, just cutting the very low frequencies and the very high frequencies, just adds it all together. Don't rely on mastering to fix the mistake of your beat. You got to make your beat sound perfect. Not perfect, but really good as you want it, and then start mastering it, because then you won't get the sound that you're looking for. I'm now going to turn off all these plugins I've got here on the side, and you're going to listen to the beat without all the mastering plugins on it. Okay, and now with now it's not much of a difference, but depends on what device you're listening on, it might sound different. Okay, and the fifth and final tip of this video is adding sidechain to your 808 and kick. So currently I'm happy with the 808, but I also want to add a kick on top. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll show you how to sidechain it. Okay, so I've now added a kick on top of my 808. Here's how it's sounding. Now you can kind of hear that it's struggling to push through that 808, but here's how to fix it. First, you want to put a Fruity parametric EQ on your 808, and on your kick, add a Fruity peak controller. Now, on your 808, look on your EQ and see where your 808 is hitting the hardest. For me, it's kind of around 70 Hertz, so grab the second dial here and slide it right over to where you think it is hitting the hardest. Okay, so now what you want to do is you would need to open up your parametric EQ, come to this little drop down here and click Browse Parameters. This will take you to this side, and you want to go Band Level 2 and then Link to Controller, and then link it back to that Fruity Peak controller that you put on your kick. And then for the mapping formula, you want to click Inverted, so then it dips down when the 808 hits and the kick hits as well. So when you click Accept and then play your beat, it should do something like that. So now open up your peak controller and you want to turn the volume down to about 20-ish, and then put your bass level up to about 50, and then you should get something like this. So that means every time that the kick hits, the 808 dips down, leaving that clean part for your kick to hit. Alright, even though this video was short, even though there's some simple tricks, I hope you guys learned something new, learned how to make a beat hit slightly harder. Hope you learned just some general things about beat creation, and I hope I've taught you guys some valuable things for your music career. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.